Hi, this is day 4 of the 30-day video challenge that I'm doing, and today I'm going to talk about heavy metals detoxification. This is a topic I've written about a few times, and in this video I'm going to focus on how to make suppositories and why to use them, and I also want to focus on a particular substance called alpha-lipoic acid. So, for a brief introduction, heavy metals exist in all of our bodies in some extent or another. Obviously not enough to kill us in the short term, but enough to degrade our health in the long term. And heavy metals actually suppress the body's ability to detoxify and therefore to rid itself of heavy metals. So it's like throwing salt in the wound. So what we have to do is take active measures in order to remove these substances from our bodies. And as I said, today I want to talk about a substance called ALA, alpha-lipoic acid, which does just that. And I take ALA in the form of suppositories. And the reason I do that is the body absorbs substances much more effectively through the colon than it does by taking supplements orally. So for that reason, part of the problem is that the very presence of toxins in the body damages the gut, and obviously that degrades the body's ability to absorb anything through the gut, including nutrients. So basically it is more effective to take substances through the rectal route. And that's what suppositories deliver to us. So I will shift the camera a bit here. So what I have here are 6 suppositories. These are a mixture of coconut oil and 200 milligrams of alpha-lipoic acid. And since I have 6, I put 200 milligrams in the original mixture, so each of these has roughly 33 milligrams of ALA in them. This is my second round of ALA. My first round was 2 weeks ago, and I started with about a little less than 20 milligrams of ALA per suppository, and that's taking 1 suppository per day. And I found that was just enough for my body to handle, so that's why I'm increasing slightly to this number of 33 milligrams per suppository. And maybe I will explain why later. So, this is actually my second take of this video. The first take I did, I know it's like you're talking to a floating air or a floating chest here. The first take I did in this video, I actually went through the whole process of making the suppositories, but my computer turned off when I was almost done with the video and I lost the whole thing. So I'm just going to have to tell you about how I made these. So shifting the focus again. As you can see, these look a little bit like slices of pizza. And what I initially did is I had the whole mixture in this bowl. It was, what I did is I melted down coconut oil, I mixed the ALA, which is a powder, with it, and then I put that mixture in the fridge, the coconut oil solidified, and then I used the spoon to scoop out the whole thing from the bowl, and it came out in one piece, which was fantastic, because that doesn't always happen. And then I used this knife, and I cut that I cut the solid mixture into 6 pieces, and then what I did is I just used my finger to round out the edges because you don't want to take suppositories that have sharp edges. It's painful. You have to be kind to your rectum here, and yeah. So not all the suppositories are the same size. Like these two are quite different in size. This one is kind of big. I'm probably gonna have to cut it in half before I take it, and just take it in 2 separate pieces. But yeah, maybe I will cut this down before I put this away here. And I usually store these in a little jar, which I won't go look at right now. But yeah, so you want to make sure the suppositories are big enough to be effective, basically, but also small enough that they fit in you. And another important point is you also want them to be solid enough that they don't melt before you even get them in. That is an unfortunate thing that's happened to me a lot. When you just have ALA and coconut oil, they usually stay pretty solid as long as you keep them like under 70 degrees. But it's a good idea to refrigerate suppositories for like half an hour before you use them. And if you're using suppositories that are made with essential oils, which I'll talk about that soon too, you really want to make sure those are cool before you take them. You might even want to freeze those because essential oil suppositories get very melty and liquidy very easily. So when you make essential oil suppositories, I will show you quickly here. There's a little drop. There's a little hole on the top. Maybe you can see it. I don't want to leak this. Where the oil comes out, and if you just hold the bottle carefully, like perhaps like so, not straight down, but kind of more sideways, then you'll be able to count 1 drop at a time of the oil. And again, as with the ALA, you're not going to get an exact measurement, and it's not that important to get an exact measurement. It's more important to just have a rough goal in mind and do your best to hit that. So where I roughly go for with essential oil suppositories is about 20 drops of oil per suppository. And what I've been doing lately is I'll put in equal amounts of ginger and turmeric. So I'll have like 20 drops of one per suppository that I want to make, and then 20 drops of the other. So, like if I'm making a batch of 5 suppositories, then I'll have 100 drops of turmeric and 100 drops of ginger total. And as I said earlier, essential oil suppositories melt much easier than suppositories that have just powder in them. So, I like to keep the essential oil suppositories in the fridge most of the time, and sometimes I'll even freeze them. Lately, the ginger and turmeric ones have been extremely melty. I have to keep them in the fridge all the time, and before I use them, I have to freeze them for 20 minutes first. Otherwise, they just melt way too easily. So, one more thing I could talk about here is magnesium oil. As I said, yeast holds on to substances that can harm your body because it protects you, but unfortunately it also holds on to substances that are good for your body, like minerals. So when you remove heavy metals from your body, and by extension yeast, when that yeast leaves your body, some of the good stuff leaves along with it. So what you have to do is remineralize. You need to get those supplements back into your body, or not those supplements, but rather those those micronutrients. And you do that via supplementation. So I'll be honest, the only substance I've been remineralizing with is magnesium. I don't have that with me right now, but I use that in the form of magnesium oil. It's a spray bottle. I just spray it on my skin. There's certain areas of your skin that are supposedly more effective for transdermal nutrition than others. Like I focus on my wrists, the backs of my knees, my feet, my ankles, the inside of my elbow here. So if you don't remineralize, then your body will not want to let go of that yeast because, the yeast has good stuff in it. And your body needs to have enough good stuff in it to begin with in order to get rid of that yeast. Because otherwise there won't be enough good stuff anymore. So, that's the note on remineralization. And, overall, I think I've given a pretty decent overview of detox here, in addition to showing you how to make suppositories. I talked about the basic steps you go through, how to take certain substances like ALA and IMD. I talked about how you need to supplement, heal your gut, and fix your diet before you start taking ALA, because otherwise your body just won't be ready for it. There's too much other stuff you gotta correct and clean up first. And on that note, I'll just list the basic steps of detox. Now that you know what they all are, I'll just give you the basic order. So first what you want to do is remove exposure to toxins as much as possible. So that's like, if you're drinking tap water and it's fluoridated and chlorinated and everything else, you want to stop doing that. Start drinking spring water instead. I know that's easy for me to say because I live actually quite close to a spring, so I just bottle my own spring water. If you can do that and the water's clean, that's wonderful. The spring I go to, I usually have to wait in line to get water because it's a very popular spring. So it's really nice that I have that nearby me. I know not everybody does, but they do sell spring water at grocery stores too. That's not something I know a lot about since I haven't had to do it, but certainly look into it. So yes, as I said, you want to first remove exposure to toxins as much as possible. Now, the most important aspect of removing exposure from toxins is if you have dental fillings in your teeth, because those contain mercury, and obviously if you have some kind of mercury implant in your body, you're going to have trouble removing mercury from your body with these little powders and whatnot. I mean, first you gotta get the source out of you. And the same goes for other implants you might have, like IUDs if you're a woman, or, if you have a pacemaker. I don't know anything about that, but, you gotta know what's in your body, address all of these things, and take care of them. That's really important. In fact, if you try detoxing while you have some source of metal in your body still, like implants or dental fillings, that can actually be dangerous. So, that's not something I personally have had to deal with, thank goodness, but if you do, really make sure you get that taken care of first before you go into detox. So the first step is to remove exposure. The second step is basic cleansing and correcting modalities. So that's what I talked about before with correcting your diet, meaning you either go low carb or low fat, but don't try to do high carb and high fat. that doesn't work. That's how you get diabetes. You gotta correct your diet and do basic cleanses like a saltwater flush. And then at the same time as you're doing that, you also want to start basic supplementation. If your diet is really crappy, it might be a little overwhelming even to start supplementing it. So, as I said, step 1, remove exposure to toxins. Step 2, basic cleansing and correcting. And step 3, start taking those supplements like glutathione, magnesium, and iodine. And I should have mentioned, I have taken glutathione previously, I just ran out of it. And I actually use that as a suppository too, and that works perfectly well. I use reduced glutathione powder. I got that from a website called purebulk.com, and yeah, it worked fine. So, step 1, remove exposure. Step 2, cleansing and diet correction. Step 3, start basic supplements. And when I say basic supplements, I mean, just stick to those few. You don't gotta go crazy and start taking vitamin A, and then let's go take all the vitamins and all the minerals and everything. I keep it really low key here. Just magnesium and glutathione. And I did take iodine for a little bit, but I bought a form called potassium iodide, which you're not supposed to take too much of. So I haven't taken that in a while. There's other forms of iodine that are safer to take on a daily basis, but I just haven't gotten that yet. So step 4, after you're getting into basic supplementation, then you can start gut healing more actively. And for this, you want to take substances like slippery elm bark. You want to take binders like IND, which I've been talking about here. And you can take aloe vera internally. You can take probiotics. Yes, there's that too. I actually haven't taken any probiotics so far, but I would imagine they would help. Similar to that, though, what I did take, I actually just got it at a local health food store. It's this stuff called Gut Shot. I wish I had some to show you because it's so cool looking. It was this purple juice, and it was made from red cabbage mainly, in addition to a couple other things like garlic and maybe a bit of lemon juice. And also beet juice was in it too. That was what also gave it the purple color. And I actually, just from drinking a little bit of that stuff, I got a candida die-off. It was very powerful. And yes, I should mention that just from feeling your gut, you can get candida die-off that way too. So candida die-offs are kind of the proof throughout this whole detox process that things are working, but when it happens, you want to be careful. You don't want to go too fast because then you'll get more of a die-off and you feel nauseous and you're bloated and in pain. So die-off, it's kind of a good sign, but it also means you slow down a little bit. And the other thing that I took to heal my gut is I ate kelp, which I actually found very enjoyable to eat. I got that from the same health food store too. So the kind of kelp I get is from Maine Coast sea vegetables, and they supposedly haven't had issues with contaminants in the ocean water. Whereas if you don't want to get sea vegetables from like the coast of Japan because of the Fukushima accident. There's high levels of radiation. So, but yeah, the kelp from Maine sea coast vegetables, that worked out well for me, and I really enjoyed that. And what step are we on here? The next step, after you are into gut healing, Well, as I established, once you've healed your gut to a pretty good point where, like me, you don't have pain while you eat anymore, now you can start taking ALA, and that you can start to remove heavy metals from your brain. Okay, so I'm going to explain a little more now about how to take ALA suppositories specifically. I would give you a demonstration, but you're just gonna have to use your imagination instead. So, what you do is you put one in, which yes is through your butt if you haven't gotten that by now. And what happens is ALA gets absorbed into your bloodstream through the walls of your colon, and from there its function is to remove heavy metals from your brain. And the reason it can do that is it crosses the blood-brain barrier, and most substances, including others used in Detox, they can't cross the blood-brain barrier. So that's what makes ALA special, and that's why I'm taking it. So it goes in and it removes heavy metals from the brain. And after you take the ALA, what you want to do is take a binder. And I specifically use a substance called Quicksilver Scientific's IMD, which stands for Intestinal Metals Detox. And the reason is, as I said, IMD is a binder. It does what it sounds like it does. It attaches to heavy metals in your digestive tract, and I'm moving around in that area. It attaches to heavy metals in your digestive tract, and then all of that leaves your body through bowel movements. So that's how you get heavy metals out of the body. So when you take ALA, you have to take it with IMD, and I always take the IMD after the ALA. It just makes sense to take it in that order to me. The way I take IMD is, when I'm taking ALA, I only use one scoop, which this is the scoop. It's very tiny. This one scoop is supposedly 100 milligrams, according to the bottle, but I haven't weighed it. And I mix that scoop in a glass with orange juice, and I literally just squeeze an orange into the glass, and then I drink that juice. So I drink the orange juice that's mixed with the IMD, which is a powder just like ALA is, and that's it. And that goes in, and it does its job, and a little while later, I usually have to go to the bathroom. And I usually will eat the orange that I use to make orange juice after I take IMD. And then I usually will eat a couple of other oranges too afterward. And I think I like doing that just because it helps to keep things moving, like especially the flavor in the orange. And that's what you want to do. The goal here is to have a bowel movement, because that's where those heavy metals are going to come out of your body from. So I think it's a good idea to eat just a little bit with the IMD. Fruit specifically, because it's light and also high in fiber. So that's how that works. There are a couple of other things to make note of here. For number one, the way I measured out the ALA is just with this very same scoop. I just took 2 scoops of the ALA powder, and I assumed that comes out to 200 milligrams. Again, I don't have a scale, so I don't know for sure, but that's the way I did that. Another thing is that you don't want to take ALA right away when you start Detox. You want to wait until after you have healed your gut. And the reason for this is, after my first round of ALA, which, as I said, I did a little less than 20 milligrams per day for 5 days. On the 6th day, I didn't take anything, and I had a big candida die-off. And the reason for that is yeast, which is candida, is meant to protect your body from dangerous substances like heavy metals. So when you remove heavy metals from your body, yeast goes along with it. So on that 6th day, when after I had taken ALA for 5 days, I didn't take any that day, but I still had a candida die-off. And to me that shows that I had taken just enough ALA to have an effect, but if I had taken more than that, I might have had a bigger die-off than my body could handle. So that's why I increased just a little bit to this new level of 33 milligrams per day. And I actually started that today, and so far I've been feeling okay. So I think this dosage will work for this point in time. So, as I was saying, because of that candida die-off, what you want to do before you start taking ALA is get to a point where your gut is basically healed. Before I started Detox a couple months ago, I could not eat without being in pain. And now that's not true anymore. And the biggest pain reduction happened when I had my first candida die-off. So I'm of the belief that yeast in the body is associated with gut inflammation, which is basically pain and bloating. And I noticed that once that yeast started coming out, it's gotten much easier for me to eat, and I barely have any pain when I eat anymore. And that is a truly liberating thing. After 20 years, I can finally eat in peace. But it's really important to get to that point in your health. This is supposed to be a more technical video, but I don't want to overlook that, how great this has been. I never liked supplements much, but I would not take this stuff if it did not do its job. I will be honest with you. So the basic point I just made there is that alpha lipoic acid, ALA, is something that you have to take a little later in the detox program. When you first get started, you just want to take basic supplements like magnesium and iodine and glutathione. And you want to take basic supplements, focus on healing your gut, and you also want to do some basic cleanses like a saltwater flush, which is literally when you just drink salt water mixed with water. Salt mixed with water, I apologize. Sea salt specifically, and that helps to remove fecal matter that has gotten stuck in your intestinal tract, which there is more of that in your body than you think there is. So basic cleanses, as I said, that includes a saltwater flush, fasts of any kind, and you could try other things like drinking apple cider vinegar and baking soda mixed with lemon juice. And the most important thing, I think, is to fix your diet. I was talking about yeast a few minutes ago. In addition to protecting your body from heavy metals, yeast also protects your body from blood sugar spikes. And the cause of blood sugar spikes is essentially it's eating too high levels of both fat and carbohydrates together. So, see, this is key here. It's not fats that are bad. It's not carbs that are bad. It's eating them in high amounts together that is bad. And the reason for that is the fat blocks the body's ability to digest and absorb the sugar properly. So, and because the sugar can't get into the cell, instead it stays in your blood and you get high blood sugar then. And what yeast does is it protects your body from levels of high blood sugar. So the yeast takes on the sugar instead, and as we all know, yeast loves sugar. So when you have high blood sugar, that's another way that you get a buildup of yeast in your body. And if you just change your diet by either choosing a high-fat diet or a high-carb one, then in itself might be enough for you to have a candida die-off, because that yeast won't have to hold on to the sugar anymore, because you'll stop having these blood sugar spikes. And I specifically have chosen the high-carb path. I might make another video in this series about how I've been eating, and that's going really well for me. Most of my diet is fruit. I'd say I probably get 90% of my calories from fruit, just off the top of my head. And it's like I said, that's going really well. I've had a lot more energy since I started eating that way, and weight loss has never been something I've needed to do. I weigh 105 pounds, but I noticed lately that my weight's been a couple pounds lower than usual. Like, before this diet, it would usually be between 105 and 108 pounds. Now it's been more like 103 to 105, sometimes even 102. So, I guess I am dropping maybe a couple pounds here or there. Nothing huge, but, I'll take it. I'm okay with that. So that's the deal with yeast and why you need to peel your gut before you take ALA. Another point to make on the yeast is if you have a candida die-off, what you want to do is take a substance called molybdenum. I have that over on my dresser. I won't go get it now. Take 1 to 3 drops of that with a glass of water, or in a glass of water rather, and that helps to deal with the yeast. And also, this dovetails into the other thing I wanted to talk about, which is making suppositories from essential oils. What I have here is the essential oil of turmeric, and I got this from Healing Solution. Yes, Healing Solution. So as I was saying, when you have a candida die-off, you want to take molybdenum, and you want to take parasite-killing suppositories, because the rationale behind those is that there are certain substances that, for whatever reason, opportunistic organisms like yeast and bad bacteria, they don't like them. And these substances include turmeric, which I have here, ginger, garlic, onion, clove. Yeah, those are the main ones. And why don't the opportunistic organisms like those substances? I have no idea, but they sure work. So, when you're taking binders, basically when you're taking any substance that removes heavy metals from your body, you also want to take these other substances that help to remove yeast from your body. And again, because of that's essential oil suppositories are helpful to take when you're having a candida die-off. So the reason they are referred to as parasite-killing suppositories is that some people, when they take these things and they go through detox, they actually have worms come out of them, like roundworms and ropeworms. I haven't experienced that myself, but for me, I've only had yeast come out, but in a way, you can consider yeast to be a parasite too. At the very least, it's an opportunistic organism because it feeds off of things going on in your body, as I've mentioned. I was talking about how you shouldn't take parasite-killing suppositories until you start taking binders. And the reason for that is, those parasites won't want to go until you get rid of the stuff that they're holding onto, such as metals. The biggest mistake I've made with detox is I started the Parasite suppositories way too early, and I basically ruined my life for about a month, maybe a month and a half. So please don't do that. Please don't take Parasite suppositories until you start taking binders, because in fact, don't do anything out of order at all. Otherwise, you will not have a fun time. Detox can make your life great. It can massively improve your quality of life. I promise you. But if you do it wrong, things will go the other way for you. So please be careful. And on that note, I want to say that in one of my detox articles, I wrote about how I planned on taking chlorella, which is a binder that's a bit similar to, but weaker than IMD. And the main difference is that chlorella is actually an algae, so it's a natural substance, whereas IMD is a proprietary substance that was made in a lab. The first 5 days that I took chlorella, it was fine. And then the 6th day, I had the scariest 2 hours of my life. I'm not going to recall it here, but just to give you a brief overview, I was screaming uncontrollably and in so much pain, and I wanted to talk, but I couldn't, and I was extremely close to throwing up and passing out. And my point here is, some people do okay with chlorella, but I'm just gonna tell you to be safe, save your money, and just get IMD instead. I mean, IMD is more expensive, but it's also less life-threatening. So, and it's also much more powerful than chlorella anyway. So I say skip the chlorella, just go with the IMD. I have a variety of ideas why that happened to me with chlorella. And I should add, I've read many testimonials online of people who had similar horrible experiences with it. I have a few ideas about why that happens. Maybe you should be taking another binder alongside chlorella. The chlorella itself might actually have heavy metals in it to begin with. Maybe the way it distributes metals throughout your body is a little reckless and chaotic. I don't know. But I don't know for sure. But I would suggest just staying away from it and going for IMD instead. So those are a couple notes on how to stay safe through this process. As long as you do things right, it really is pretty safe overall. I mean, like I said, I didn't have anything too major. Like I didn't have fillings in my teeth to remove, and that getting your fillings removed can be a very dangerous process because you are unsettling a deposit of mercury in your body, and if the dentist does it wrong, you can actually get much sicker from that. So that's a dangerous part of detox, and that's something I didn't have to go through. But it's really important to stay safe in this process. It's something I could make a whole video about, but I've given you the basic points here on how to do that. And so I was giving you the basic steps of how to do detox in the right order, and I got to ALA. Or at least I think I did. My laptop shut off again, so I'm not 100% sure. But as far as I know, ALA is the last step, basically. Taking or any other substances that may remove heavy metals from your brain. There aren't any that I know of, but I think that's pretty much the last step. And once you get to the point where you've come a long way with ALA, along with everything else. And from there, you can just kind of continue doing this stuff periodically or at a low grade level. And since I'm not there yet, it's hard for me to say for sure. But I think in general, you want to continue detoxing in some form, in some ways. You know, maybe invest in an infrared sauna. You can keep doing various cleanses and fasts, like water fasting, because there's always going to be more toxins we'll be exposed to, so you have to keep detoxing to some extent in some ways. But once you come a long way with ALA, much of the work is done, and you will know when you're at that point by how you feel, because your quality of life will have increased tremendously, and you'll feel much better. So when I get to the point where I feel I've finished basic detox and can revert to more of a maintenance mode, I'll let you know what my take is on things from that point on. So again, to summarize the steps of detox, number 1, remove exposure to toxins. Number 2, take basic cleansing protocols and correct your diet. Number 3 is to take basic supplements. Number 4 is to heal your gut. Number 5, and by the way, step 4, that's when you can start taking Parasite film suppositories, but don't do it before then. Number 5 is to start taking ALA. And then step 6 is to go to maintenance mode. So that is that. And again, I think I mentioned I'd really like to get this all down into written form, just so it's out there for people to have easy access to. I mean, it's not like this is all being pulled out of my butt. I've learned this stuff from a variety of different sources, but I'm just putting it together here in the way that I understand it most clearly. Like those 6 steps I just gave you, for example, I haven't seen those listed in that way anywhere else. And I've seen like suggestions of that's basically the order you're supposed to do it in, but I've never seen it laid out in that way. So that's one unique thing I can offer you here. I will mention some of the sources I've learned this stuff from include the supermandiet.com. That's made by a guy named Alex Bloom, who I have talked to firsthand. Another website called the detoxdudes.com. That's made by a man named Josh Mason. StevePavlino.com is where I first learned about all this stuff. And I hope I don't need to tell you who made that website. And I listened to a couple lectures by Dr. Chris Shade, who specializes in detoxing mercury specifically. And then from there are a couple other just like forums I've looked at for a few tips, like Pure Zone and some other obscure websites that are not coming to mind. But yes, those are the main resources that have helped me along this journey. And I mentioned it earlier. Again, I just want to say that this has all been so helpful to me. And it has nothing to do with needing to be on supplements or anything like that. It's taking these substances to heal my body and to remove toxins from my body that shouldn't be there. And like I said, now I can eat without being in pain. Like, you have no idea how amazing that is after being alive for 20 years. and vegan pain the whole time. And now I'm just not anymore. It's like, I still am having a hard time grasping it. I'm like, wait, what? It's over? Like, I'm not in pain anymore? What? It's a freaking Christmas miracle. It's really beautiful. And I tell you, I would not take this stuff if it did not help. Absolutely. So so that's why I do this, and that's why I'm here telling you about it. And I really hope the sound quality on this video worked, because if it didn't, that'd be a shame. And I'm just really glad that I could be here sharing this with you. And I intend on writing more about detox in the future, so that I can give a more detailed step by step of the process, and also just so it's all out there. And of course, I got into this 4 months ago, but because I did things wrong at first, I've only been getting results for the last 2 months. So I'm only a few months into this, so I do have a lot more to learn, I expect. But what I've given you here are the basics. I believe that if you just do this stuff that I've talked about here, that will probably be more or less enough, especially if you're already a fairly healthy person and I know that's not most people, but if you're like me and you didn't have any diagnosable diseases to begin with, for instance, and what I've talked about here it'll probably give you like 80% at least of what you're looking for. I mean, I'm pretty skeptical of any detox things that go beyond the basic measures I've talked about here. So, and I'm not saying there's no validity to those things, but I just feel like what I've got here is basically enough. One point I do want to add to that is a lot of people who are into detox, they take the high-fat diet path, and they're usually not vegan. So that's one difference between me and a lot of people who do this, is I went the high-carb vegan route instead. And I do wonder what kind of a difference that may make. I feel like even outside of detox, people who go on high-fat diets seem to be much more enthusiastic about supplements and stimulants and drugs. And I really do think that's not just a coincidence. I think there's something about the high-fat diet that draws people to those substances. And I'll just be blunt. I wanted to keep this video uncontroversial, but what the heck? If you watch this far in, you must be interested, right? So, so I do think the high-fat diet is a bit inferior to the high-carb diet. So I think the reason that people on high-fat diets take more supplements and stimulants and whatnot is basically that the diet is probably not providing them with as much energy as it could be. This is something that's really worth looking into more, but whatever the case may be, I really can't help but notice the connection there. People who are on high-fat diets, they are much more enthusiastic about supplements, stimulants, and like psychedelic drugs, including cannabis, than people on high-carb diets are. For instance, if you go to the website 30 Bananas a Day, which is a forum for people on the high-carb vegan diet, specifically a 100% raw diet. If you go to that website, it is very anti-drug, and they prefer to avoid supplements as much as possible. I mean, they do talk a bit about like vitamin B12, which I personally have never taken, but the point is there's a very clear connection, and it's something that we all need to be honest about. which is that people on high-fat diets seem to like drugs more, and I would truly like to know why. So, if you have any insight into that, maybe you can drop a comment or just let me know. And, that was an interesting note to end this video on, but it's worth mentioning. And to return to the larger point, even if you do go on a high-fat diet, I think you will definitely still benefit from detox, no doubt, and you will still benefit from your diet as well. It's just that my caution here is that don't be so quick to get pulled into you need all the supplements, take all the vitamins, all the minerals, take all the cannabis, take everything, just take all of it. Like, I want to caution you against that approach, because I know it's that approach that makes people skeptical of detox in the first place. So I'm here telling you that you don't have to take all the things. I think if you just take the basic stuff I've talked about here, you'll basically find that is enough. And you are certainly free to explore beyond that. I just can't say I personally have a whole lot of interest in doing so. So, start with the basics, and if you feel compelled to explore from there, do so, but I would say do so with some caution, and, just listen to yourself, use your intelligence to guide you, which is what I talked about yesterday, and you ultimately know what is right for you. So, that is all I have to say on the topic of detoxification for now. I'll leave you with one final persuasion here. You feel like you're not as healthy as you could be, or you are looking to just feel a little better in your life, or a lot better even. If you're not healthy, this is really something you should consider doing, because it could, I'm not exaggerating, this could turn the whole ship around for you. So please do consider what I've said here, and just start with removing exposure to toxins. Just start there, and also start with correcting your diet. And I will note that I have written an extensive article on diet, which you can take a look at. I will link to that in the description. Overall, I wish you well on your journey to greater health. I know mine has certainly been wonderful so far, and good luck to you. Thank you for listening. I hope this has been helpful to you. So, peace out.